Alright guys, so this one is an interesting story I have to cover. So normally, I would just talk about this almost in a vacuum. Like, okay, here's what's going on, here's the topic, but I feel like the response to it is what I actually have the most interest in discussing with you all. Because I don't really have much else to say about the catalyst of this discussion other than, well, this is bad, obviously. So for those that don't know, this is very fresh off the presses news, by the way. Like, as of the recording of this video, the talking about it on stream now, this is like an hour ago. Nazi protesters are marching in Nashville, Tennessee today. Nashville's the capital of the state of Tennessee, for my non-American viewers that don't know our geography all that well. And they are very proudly displaying their swastika flags and Sieg Heiling. And the response to this from the right is really what I want to cover especially today, but I figure I should do my due diligence in showing you these nerds marching down the street. Look at these little LARPing cunts.
No! What are you ashamed of?
Remember, they're all white, they have no rhythm, so they can't cheer in unison. That's like the one thing that conservative marches and Nazi marches will never be able to pull off, is cheering in rhythm and, like, syncing it up. They'll never be able to pull it off. They'll never have that level of, like, coordination to give that intimidating effect. That is not a thing that a bunch of racist white people in masks are capable of. These guys especially are not capable of syncing that shit up. It's just gonna sound like murmuring whenever they do their big chant.
Is that the best you got? Best you got?
Yeah, they're not very loud either for this many people.
Show me your fucking faces! Where's your face? Where's your face? Show me your face! I don't even know who you are! This is my face! Let's fucking go!
So that's one of the Nazis screaming at, like, someone who's not white, "Your people poop in the street." So what I really like about these, about the guy who's recording, the Australian guy recording, is that he's screaming, "You don't even show your faces." And that's honestly a really good call out. Yeah, these people don't show their faces. They're fucking cowards. These are the same people that give Antifa shit for covering their face. Why are these people able to cover their faces? Why are they so ashamed of what they stand behind? If they're so proud of being white, if they're so proud of what they believe in, why do they hide their faces? That's really the core comedy of American racism, really. The fact that those who have always chanted the words white power are the same people who are too ashamed to show their faces as they say it. They wear Klan hoods, or they wear skull masks, or bandanas and sunglasses. Nowadays, they scream white pride and white power and all that shit, and yet they're like cowards covering their faces because they are too afraid to be seen saying it with an unobscured face. Because they're not actually that prideful. They're actually very ashamed in what they believe in. Because they know it's not popular. It's not liked. I mean, Antifa covers their faces. Well, Antifa is actually at threat of like, getting police violence on them, because generally Antifa is out there harming property. Like, when Antifa shows up to a protest of people who are like, well, Antifa is like an ideology, but if, like, people who identify with an Antifa militant group show up at a protest, like, you know, the whole thing going, they're probably there to destroy some property. Or at the very least, like, be ready to do some kind of violence if the cops make it violent. But some property is probably going to get fucked up. That's the majority of lefty violence that occurs, is property destruction. When, like, the far right shows up somewhere, the worst case scenario is death. When lefties show up somewhere, generally the worst case scenario is property crime. Like, property damage, property crime. It's bad, but it's not as bad as, like, a white nationalist march is happening in this town today. How many people are going to die? Neither are good, but there is clearly a lesser evil.
You don't know my people! You don't know my people! You don't know my people!
Oh, I do. It's out India, bro. Y'all shit in the street, bro. You're shit. You poop in the
Oh,
street.
you don't know that?
Oh, I do.
Where the fuck am I from?
Because you have shit on your skin.
You guys,
You're
where's your
skinny.
faces? Where's your shit on your faces? Cowards! Cowards! All of you! Fucking cowards!
I fucking love this random Australian dude in the middle of Nashville, Tennessee, that's just calling these guys cowards and, like, mocking them as he, like follows them. Like, where the fuck are you from? Where you think I'm from? Where you think I'm from, you fucking cunt? Where the fuck do you think I'm from? I'm a fucking Queenslander.
Show me your fucking faces!
I love this man. He is angry. Dude, Australians get scary when they're mad.
Where's your face, you fucking cowards? Show me your face! Show me your faces, you fucking cowards! All of you! Fucking cowards! Fucking cowards!
Every single bystander on the street is calling them cowards, too. For the record, by the way, when these people do their protests, they are never there. They're not there under the assumption that their protest or their demonstration is going to embolden their cause with support. This is an intimidation tactic. When progressives or the left do like a big march or like even a riot, it's for a purpose. It's for a cause. It's to send a message of here's what we want to authority figures. There is no authority figure being appealed to with these protests. The purpose is to intimidate, scare, and take over, like the populace, and take over the town. There was a really good example of how a town in California handled this that my mom told me about, ironically. Town. I messaged my mom. Hopefully she's watching stream or is actively there and I can like hit her up for the info, because I can't find this article in particular. I heard it from her, so for all I know, she could have made up the entire story. But my understanding of what happened was this small town in the mountains had a bunch of like probably like Patriot Front or just some like far right group come out there to do a Nazi protest, and the town's way of handling it was just to set up a bunch of horse trailers all along the street. Like, you know how you have like those parking street like spots that are parallel to the street that you park into the sidewalk? They would park them, the horse trailers, up all along the street, along the block where they had been permitted. The Nazis had been permitted to protest. And they basically just cordoned it off, both visually and geographically for walking, from the whole rest of the town. And, no, perpendicular is the opposite of what I'm talking about. I'm talking about parallel. And so, like, they parallel parked all of these horse trailers along the road and essentially made it so the Nazi protesters could get no attention. Because that's what they want. They want to, like, get a bunch of attention. Okay. I think she just made it up, I'm going to be honest. I think she completely made that story up to me. Because she told me, like, two town names. I looked both of them up, along with the details of the story, and nothing's coming up. So I don't think that's a real story. She is known for making things up, okay? You can't give me shit for repeating shit that I heard from somebody I thought that I should be able to trust as a source for info, okay? I've witnessed her making up things about stories that I was there to witness the truth of in real time, so you gotta take things that she says with a grain of salt.
Fucking cowards! Fucking cowards! Fucking cowards! Fucking cowards! Fucking cowards! Cowards! Oh,
I love this guy. This guy's awesome.
Fucking cowards! Fucking cowards! Fucking cowards!
Like, it is best to just completely ignore these guys, because at the end of the day, what they want is a reaction. They want a reaction, whether a positive one or a negative one. But if people just ignore them, like they don't even get like people recording them or watching them, like it doesn't even make the news that they did this, that's a failure for them. You know that these guys go home and they watch the news and they look at news outlets and they like scroll around on Reddit and Twitter hoping to see as many people talking about their little protest as possible. And that means I'm kind of part of the problem here, but like, this is what they want. They want a reaction. The last thing you should ever do is approach them and try to like give them any type of reaction. The best thing you can do if you witness this is to convince everyone else around to ignore them and just let them be jackasses without getting like any attention. Just literally imagine how much funnier it would be if it was just a video of them walking down the street and everyone's just ignoring them. Like no one gives a shit. Like they're marching and screaming and everyone's just like looking down at their phones just like no one cares. Just they're shunned. They're not a part of society. They don't get to like disrupt the town square and make themselves the center of attention. That's the best way to handle these people. They would lose their minds. They would start destroying property if people genuinely started ignoring them. Just outright no attention.
Fucking cowards! Fucking cowards! Fucking cowards! Fucking cowards! Fucking cowards! At least this guy's got his face open. The rest of them are cowards! Fucking cowards!
One of them took off the mask in order to show his face. It worked. Holy shit. The calling them cowards to remove their masks worked on that guy. Well, this guy's life is over. If he hasn't already been identified in some other, like, protest or something, this guy's life is over once he's identified by Twitter.
Cowards! Fucking cowards! Your grandparents would be ashamed!
I'm sure their moms are ashamed, to be completely honest with you. I don't think most of these guys, like, this is a divorced man brigade. Like, most of these guys are probably divorced men. Like, the journey to get this racist and far right, like, for dudes this old in this demographic, is divorce. It always starts with, like, a bad divorce or something. Or maybe usually they're the ones at fault, to be honest, but yeah. Here's the thing, though. As fun as it is to discuss the Nazis, what I find far more interesting is the response to this from the right. How many of you guys are familiar with the go-to conservative response to a protest like this going viral with large amounts of scrutiny? When far-right people are just coming out and waving swastika flags around and marching down the street, what do these people do? Do they say it's actually Antifa? That's a common one. Isabel the Wolf in YouTube chat, you had it. It's feds or based, is what they will say. You also got it, Darcel Saber. Feds. So the conservative blue checkmark accounts on Twitter have immediately jumped on this story, and they have captioned it. They've made feds trend on Twitter, actually, because of this. And this video that one of the conservatives' accounts called Amuse posted captioned it, Feds Marching in Nashville. So for those guys that don't know, when they say feds, they mean federal agent. Conservatives will say when Nazis march down the street carrying swastikas and chanting white power, this is feds doing a false flag to make us look bad. I feel like the make us look bad part kind of is a little bit more of a self-report than they realize it is, but maybe only to us, which is all that matters. Yeah, they are immediately jumping on this to call it feds. They're immediately going on the defensive before anybody's even really called this out. Here's the video, of course.
They are literally having a Nazi march. Here in downtown Nashville. White supremacists talking about white supremacist neo-nazism, talking about deporting folks and just racial hatred. This is This is what we're seeing here in Nashville.
So that's the video, but this conservative account has to have find a way to twist this. So he just captions it, "Feds marching in Nashville." Reading the replies, the copium is wild. So this has 3.3 thousand likes, and the replies are as follows. "The Patriot Front must have wisened up and changed their uniforms. Biden's boys. An actor filming other actors. Lol, it's fake. I lived in Tennessee for a solid 16 years now. I have never seen white supremacy here. Ever. Feds doing what feds do. Don't care if they change their clothes. Their faces are still covered up. Feds." That's their explanation for why their faces are covered, by the way. The right says, they cover their faces because they're federal agents. Except when these people get doxxed, they always end up being random 4chan users who've got like a long history of Nazi posting online. And then they get fired from their job. And like the right loses their mind over the left like messaging their employer and shit what they do. But apparently they're feds. But at the same time, it's bad if you dox them to their employers, which are not the federal government apparently, but also are the federal government. How interesting that he specifically just happened to be in the right position at the right time to catch them emerging and chanting for a TikTok post. What amazing timing. Ah, yes. It's not... In the middle of a massive city, somebody had a phone and was able to record a TikTok about a Nazi protest of people marching down the street with swastika flags. Must be an organized false flag operation. This guy's got Abe Lincoln as his profile picture. So what do those guys in uniforms actually do that warrants this much attention? I recall Antifa running through the streets destroying things and nobody seemed to care, but raising awareness or something? But these guys peacefully marching and chanting is a cause of concern? With the Abraham Lincoln profile picture about the guys marching through the street with swastika flags, Sieg Heiling. Must be people from Ukraine supporters. Do these guys know that it is an open joke to call them feds? They need new branding. LMAO, those feds are either light in their loafers or their choreographer is laughing, crying my ass off. Their matching uniforms are super gay, in my opinion. Just a small thing to add. Those feds will get double time pay or double time comp time for doing this on a holiday. It is so obvious they're feds. Why are there no speeches on record, no identification of these people? Are you having us believe that all the investigative powers of our media and government have failed us? Lol. The feds are back. Let's say they're not feds. Hypothetically, of course, they're not. They've been doing these little things for years and haven't actually done anything violent. Probably because they're feds. No false flag yet. So, for those that don't know, like, they're part of a Nazi group. Here, let me see if I can get their logo here. Does anybody recognize this logo? It looks like it's probably something in German, because it's in, like, the Nazi, like, Wolfenstein LARP font, you know? So it's probably something in German. But, I mean, find out who they are, I guess. They're almost certainly not feds. It's interesting to me, though, that, like, I'm a lefty, right? And I spend maybe a quarter of my time on this channel shitting on other people that identify as progressive or left-leaning that have bad politics but identify with my politics. Like, that is a lot of what I do on this channel. A fair amount of what I do on this channel. I am fully willing to accept there are tons of awful, ridiculous, crazy people in my political side that drag it down. conservatives are so dishonest and unwilling to cede any ground on anything because their only value is winning that they will never ever say, yeah, some right-wingers are a little nutty, some right-wingers are a little crazy, they can go a bit far for me. You very, very rarely hear that. I think that's why the right has such a strong stranglehold in online content compared to the left as well. They're Atomwaffen. Okay. Yeah, Atomwaffen is like a full-on terrorist group. They've actually killed people. Yeah. If it's Atomwaffen, they've actually, like, they're a terror group. Like, they're well known as far as, like, big far-right groups go. Anyway, it's interesting to me that the right is so unwilling to accept the possibility that, like, someone more far right than them could be, like, insanely radical and crazy, and maybe they wouldn't agree with them. Instead, it has to be these are federal agents pretending to be racists to make the right look racist. Because remember, guys, these people still are trying to push the idea that Hitler and the Nazis were left-wing. Just yesterday, PragerU posted a poll, was Hitler left or right wing? And obviously all the replies are, there is no such thing as far right. That was the top reply on that post was, is Hitler far right or far left? Was he far right or far left? The top reply was, there's no such thing as far right. He's far left. That is the world these people live in. Although, when you really think about it, them admitting there is no far right, that it's just right, maybe that's just kind of letting the mask slip, that there is no difference between a Nazi and your average Republican these days. Maybe those that are a little more red-pilled have just kind of made that realization and they're open about it. Like, yeah, no, the average Republican really is just a few steps away from being where I am, but the average Democrat is like a mile away from being where you are. You being me in this scenario. Yeah. The majority of the right is a lot more radical, which means that your average conservative is going to have a lot more appeal with radical online, like, alt media than your average progressive is. And so that's why you're going to see a very strong stranglehold of conservative content online for a while longer, until the left really starts to embrace the internet in the same way the right did, like, a decade ago. Hey, Tipster, what's up? Been seeing you getting absolutely attacked on Twitter. Hope you're doing all right, man.
Fucking coward!
Look at these guys. Look at this guy. Look at this wannabe... What's his name? Kingpin? From Into the Spider-Verse? Look at this wannabe Kingpin guy. He's, like, leading the march. He's the front of the march. He really wants to be Kingpin, I feel like. Or maybe Agent 47. Maybe he's trying to be Agent 47. He's not pulling it off. He's not pulling off either. He's not big enough to be Wilson Fisk, and he's too big to be Agent 47. He falls... He's not pulling it off. He's not doing it. He's not him.